Hi, what's going on, everyone? Ben and Alex here from the Friendly Neighborhood Fanboys, and today we're going to be recapping that massive news that we got yesterday at San Diego Comic-Con. But before we do that, hit that like button. Really does help us out. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and we will be doing a full podcast going through Deadpool and Wolverine, as well as all of the San Diego Comic-Con appearances, and breaking all that down for you guys.
Yeah.
So, the big news. RDJ, Mr. Robert Downey Jr. shocked Con.
Yes.
And he is the new Doctor Doom.
Yeah. Now, okay, before we even talk about how we really feel about it, what were your first impressions when you saw that? Because it was super unexpected.
Yeah.
What did you think? I'm curious.
Truthfully, my first impressions were, what a bad idea.
Okay.
Because
okay.
I think Iron Man as a character had obviously one of the greatest arcs in all of the MCU, regardless of what you feel about, his solo movies, especially 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. His performance as Tony Stark and Iron Man has elevated
his role in the MCU.
Exactly. In every role he's had, whether that be in the Spider-Man movies or the Avengers movies or whatever else he's been in, right? So that kind of threw me off a little bit because I was like, I don't want that role and that end to his arc in Endgame to be diminished by him just coming back to get seats filled in theaters. However, the more and more I thought about it, I was like, as we've said before, it's like Doctor Doom is basically, the reverse Iron Man in a way.
In conceptually.
Yeah.
Don't kill us in the comments for making that comparison. But when you really do break the characters down conceptually, he is Doctor Doom has all of the resources available to him. Is very much, he's kind of out on his own volition, but he is kind of the antithesis of Iron Man, even though he's not necessarily an Iron Man villain per se. But that's interesting. That's an interesting first impression. I had the exact opposite first impression, actually.
Yeah.
So when I saw the clip, I was watching him walk out, and as soon as he took the mask off, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that. I was like, are they actually doing this? Are they recycling actors now? But I right off the bat, I'm excited. I'm a Robert Downey Jr. fan. I think if we've seen anything in his career, he has an exceptional range.
True.
So I understand what you're saying about his legacy as Iron Man being diminished because he's, reappearing as Doctor Doom. But I just think he is able to transform himself into roles so well. I mean, he's like any other great method actor that you can really think of, to me. I think he's as good as a De Niro. I think he's as good as a Leo in terms of transforming himself into the role. So I don't think there's going to be an issue there. And I don't know. I have faith in him as a performer that he's going to be a great Doctor Doom. Yeah. And it's it's an interesting concept now where they're starting to recycle some of these cast members. Yeah. I don't know, spoiler alert, but we had a recycled cast member in Deadpool. I'm not going to, say it here, but even though it kind of doesn't really count.
It doesn't hold the weight.
In a way. But I mean, just to see that actor in another character I'm trying to dance around spoilers here just because this is not a Deadpool spoiler video.
If you want a spoiler-free Deadpool and Wolverine review, go check ours out. We did an out-of-theater reaction, which you can see here. Right there. So I agree, and I think he can definitely do it. And here's the thing. I love the fact that the Russos are back to do the next 2
I was going to say that
movies
too.
Because they have made some of the best MCU movies.
Hold on. Isn't it funny how Feige's in order for them to deal with all the complaints of the studio, they're just rehiring all old people that are just
that's the thing. It's it's a good thing and a bad thing, at least from a viewpoint perspective, because from afar that's exactly what it is. It's he's he even says it on stage, I think. Kevin Feige says we had to pick the greatest actor in the world, or one of the Russos said it. They bring RDJ out. Everyone goes nuts, obviously. Yeah. And then they're like, by the way, we're directing both of them too.
Yeah.
And, it's in order to carry movies like this.
But good, though. But honestly.
Yeah.
There is something to be said about, maybe RDJ coming back or the Russos coming back that are taking opportunities away from up and coming filmmakers or actors that want to have another shot. However, there is also, to play devil's advocate, the flip side of the coin where it's been 2018 since Endgame, I think. And I can count on one hand the amount of Marvel movies and TV shows that I've actually enjoyed since that phase has ended. So at a certain time, at a certain point, it gets to a point where it's like, well, nobody can be trusted with, anything. You know what I mean?
True. It's true.
We're coming out of the lowest low point that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has ever had. So you can make the argument, it's like, well, you're taking an opportunity away from up-and-coming filmmakers, but at the same time, it's like, we've been seeing other voices come into play, and it hasn't really been playing out very well.
No, not at all.
So it's, I don't know.
She-Hulk, The Marvels.
Ant-Man 3.
Ant-Man, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just...
Secret Invasion. Miss after miss after miss after miss.
Things that we have not personally enjoyed, but I think we also echo a lot of the fandom as well.
Yes. I just think that as long as they start threading him throughout the next couple movies coming out, it'll be a better way of laying that foundation as opposed to just, he shows up in Avengers Doomsday and, you discover him through there, and then you got to wait till Secret Wars, which is an entire year after, a year and a half after, to be able to see him again. Like, I think he has to be treated like a Thanos going forward, where he does make those little appearances, so that there's like a looming threat.
He will have to be introduced in the Fantastic Four film for sure, which I'm sure he will be.
Sure. So that was my next kind of topic to touch on now. So it's like, how do we think that might play out, considering that at Con as well, Fantastic Four officially is set not in the mainline MCU, which is something I'm kind of bummed about, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because they keep doing this thing, especially, I'm not going to go into spoiler territory with Deadpool and Wolverine, but like a lot of people thought that would be Deadpool actually stepping over into the main line and kind of getting away from the multiverse stuff finally.
Which was slightly debunked by everyone.
And there is stuff that happens in the movie that signifies otherwise.
Yeah.
So the fact that they are so reluctant to include direct like X-Men characters and direct Fantastic Four characters in the main line just screams to me that they're not stepping away from the multiverse till after Secret Wars, which makes sense obviously because Secret Wars is based on all of these characters converging in one battle world.
That's right. Which in which case Secret Wars is the kind of perfect it's the perfect opportunity to be able to finally amalgamate everything. So, in terms of prediction, if this Fantastic Four film will be set in the 60s in a different timeline, that actually kind of works out slightly better having Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, because it's not even like it's not even like you're seeing the likeness of the actor, but being played he's playing another character in the same timeline. It's a different timeline. Now, if he is, let's go out on a limb and just assume or hypothesize that he will be introduced in some way in Fantastic Four, right?
Yeah.
And then going forward in the Avengers films, by the time we get to Secret Wars, there is going to be like an amalgamation of the timelines where he enters a new timeline. But at the same time, that is a very, very long game they're playing doing that. So I have mixed feelings about that. Yeah. I don't know.
I also don't want that Fantastic Four movie to be crowded because we know we're getting Galactus. I'm pretty sure there was a stinger reel it's probably leaked somewhere online, but I saw one still of it, of previous footage of Galactus looking like his comic accurate self,
which
as tall as a skyscraper.
Thank you.
Very on point. But I just don't want that movie to be crowded. Like if he's going to be introduced, even just as Victor Von Doom, it would be cool just to kind of see him in passing, or maybe just in a small role kind of threaded throughout that plot, and then left open so we kind of get an idea of where that character trajectory is going. The other concern, though, I have with that being said, is that something on a Galactus level should also not just disappear. So like I'm afraid
Very
that Galactus is going to be like a one and done for that movie.
Galactus should not be a throwaway villain.
Exactly.
Where he's one and done in one movie.
Like, you know, the way they're setting it up, from what we know, who knows, we could be completely wrong and there could be another villain or overarching villain.
Yeah.
But from what we know, like he is the only villain for that movie. So I hope it's not just like a, yay, we defeated Galactus and it's done. Because arguably he's even more imposing of a threat than Thanos was. And he should not be treated as any less than that.
Yeah. The only other issue that I have with putting Fantastic Four in another timeline is I'm tired of this Fantastic Four being its own separate thing, and I'm so tired of them being sidelined all the time, because the Fantastic Four in Marvel Comics are an absolute essential team. They gave birth to the Marvel universe, like comics wise, but even still to this day, you read any like, you know, big Marvel comic that's crossing over multiple titles, the Fantastic Four a lot of times are key players, or they're at the center, right? So that's the other thing that bothers me too. But at the same time, I really like how it's taking place in the 60s.
Retro future 60s too.
I really love that, because it totally fits Fantastic Four. It's just it's a give and take at this point. So we'll see.
I agree.
We'll see.
Another thing too I'm curious about is there was an interview with Kevin Feige before Comic-Con talking about Avengers Tower, who bought Avengers Tower. That's been a big thing in the MCU. There's been a lot of theories going around. Is it the Baxter Building? Is it Fisk Tower? Could it be Victor Von Doom?
Foggy Nelson bought it.
Yeah, Foggy Nelson bought it with some spare change he had. But that could also be a good indicator of you know, the mainline MCU going forward. I would like it to be Fisk, but a lot of the signs pointed to the Baxter Building. But now that we have this info that it's not in the same universe,
kind of throws a wrench in that.
Throws it off a little bit. But if anyone would hop a universe willingly and kind of set up his master plan, so to speak, or to, you know, build a foundation and doesn't really have ties to like family or anything, it would be Victor Von Doom.
Oh, yeah.
It could be Reed too.
It could be Reed too, yeah.
I think that would be kind of an interesting dynamic if all of a sudden RDJ from that universe decides, hey, like there's a lot of power, like this is the sacred timeline, so like I'm gonna move my base of ops there. And then in a very meta way, he buys the tower that Tony Stark built.
The door's open to a lot.
Yeah.
The door is open for a lot.
Yeah.
So,
but I think we should cap it there. Let us know your thoughts. What did you think of RDJ's reveal at San Diego Comic-Con? What do you think about our Fantastic Four theories? Let us know, and we will be back tomorrow with some in-depth talks.